The key topics which we are going to cover in the part 1 video are Vector CANoe, Panel Designer, under which we'll be seeing the panel creation and customization, and then the toolbox, contents in details, which are as the analog gauge, command button, progress bar, start and stop measurement. So these are the options that we are going to see it in this particular part 1 video. Before we get into the video, please hit the subscribe button and bell icon for notification on the future series of videos. Topic 1, Introduction to Vector Panel Designer. Let me show you how to open the panel designer. First of all, open the CANoe application. All you have to do is, if you have already installed your CANoe application in your PC, go to the start button and type in CANoe. So it will list down the CANoe application based on the version that you have installed. Select your CANoe application, then it will open a blank configuration, and then you can create your own desired CANoe configuration, and then go to the home tab, and you will find a tab called more, in which you will find write and panel. So you have to select the panel. There is a drop down, click onto it, and you will find the already added panels. And then there is an option like new panel, that if you wanted to create from the scratch, or if you already have created some panel and if you wanted to add it, you can add it over here. And this panel configuration is just to do a configuration settings of the existing panels. So now what we are going to do is we are going to create the panel from the scratch. Okay, you can select it by this way, by clicking onto the new panel, and there is one more option, like you can go to the tools, where you will find the panel designer also. So if you click onto the panel designer also, it will navigate to the same similar window which you will see when you click on the new panel. Okay, I'm going to click on the new panel. So we are going to create the panel from the scratch. So I clicked the new panel. Now if you see, the panel designer is opened, and there is a new empty panel has been seen in this window. So this is how we have to open the panel through the panel designer. Topic 2, panel background customization. So once the panel is opened, now we have the option to customize this panel in the form of changing the background color of this panel. Also, if you do not want it to have a blank or a solid color background, if you wanted to choose something different, then you can also have the option of adding a background image through this option. And also you have the option to change the border style and also the layout. And if you wanted to rename it, you can rename this panel. So these are all the different customizations that is possible. First, let us see how it can be done. First, you have to select the panel, and once if the panel is selected, just go towards the right side, and all you have to do is click onto the properties, where you will see the properties tab concerning to this particular panel, because this is what we have clicked, and the property concerning to that particular panel is being displayed over here. So we can change anything as per our customization needs. So firstly, we have the option to change the background. So right now it is in white background. If someone might be interested in keeping a black background or any other color, so those colors you can select it directly here. It's all a solid color. Also, it has the option of custom, where you can also select it as per the palettes visible in the normal other editors. And also some of the system default colors is also available. So based on your need, you can change this color. So if you select that, then your panel color, background color, will be changed entirely. So this is one option. Okay, if you do not wanted to have a solid color, and if you wanted to add a background image, then you have the option of background image tab, where you can select the background image as per your needs. Select your picture, and then if you click OK, then it will apply over here. Then you can resize based on your needs. This is another option given in the panel. And okay, there is another option called the border style, where you can select it's going to be a single view or a 3D view. So if you select the 3D view, then if you see, there is the background itself, it looks like a 3D view. And then you have the option of changing the layout so you can manually change based on your need. You can set the width, then you can set the height of the panel, also possible. And then you can change the panel. So okay, I don't want to have this panel as panel 1, I wanted to have it as a front GUI, for instance. Then if you change it, you see the panel name got changed. So that is how you could customize your panel background first of all before you get into the other tools. Okay. Topic 3: how to work with analog gauge. Analog gauge. The gauge can be used as a display element for symbol values within a defined value range. Double click on the analog gauge in the toolbox. You will see the analog gauge in the panel now. What we are going to do is we are going to attach a symbol. In our case, we are going to take a use case of making this analog gauge as a speedometer, vehicle speedometer. We're going to customize its properties by by double clicking into this analog gauge, and we are going to modify all the settings in the properties in order to convert this analog gauge into a speedometer. Firstly, let us go. I double click on it, and now go to the properties tab, and you will see all the options that you could use it in order to customize this analog gauge. Firstly, I will go and attach a signal towards it. Let me start firstly to attach the symbol to this particular gauge. Go to the last here, you have a symbol tab here. Under the symbol tab, you will have a filter, symbol filter. Select always a signal, and then I'm going to select especially here to show you how based on the vehicle speed, the speedometer will change. So I selected that, apply, okay. Now based on the signal that I have selected, it has a maximum range of 655, but I would like to customize in such a way that I wanted to have a maximum of 350 kilometer per hour. Okay, so I set the maximum value as 350. Okay, now we'll go from the start on the options. Firstly, you have the option to select the background color, which particular color that you're going to select. So I'm going to select a black color in this case. I'm going to select the black color. Okay, now everything looks black now. And border style, do I need to select any specific style? I'm going to select the 3D here. As I said in the previously, fixed single is like a 2D view. You will not see much difference. In the 3D, you will see like a 3D appearance of the panels. And then the display text, so this is to enable or disable your display text. So now it is entirely black. Let me change the color of the text, and then I'll show you how all these options will vary. Now display text is something like, if I unselect it, you will see I'll not see the display text here. So but I need to display. Okay, I select it as true. Now display value, it is, these are all the values like 0, 50, 100, 150, all you see here. These are all the values. If you wanted to display, you can display. In specific use cases, you might need only the analog gauge, not the measurement values. In that case, you can disable it. But in our case, we are going to display the speed. Okay, now we go with the next font. Font as your preference. You can change your font type as well as its size. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to retain as such for the moment, and then we will see at the end. Then the layout style, whether I'm going to go for the center or left or right, and that's based upon your own option. Here in this case, I'm going to keep it as center style. And then the scale angle. The scale angle is mentioned as 90 here. So please note, 90 is something like, if you draw a line between these two angle, it will become as a 90-degree angle. But especially, for instance, if you give it as 360, it will become like a circle. But in our case, what we are going to do is we are going to show a kind of a speedometer, which will be something like 270, I would say. This is how in the vehicle speedometer it would look like. Let me expand the analog so that it will be a bit clear. Okay, now the text, it is nothing but the unit. So right now it is like a millivolt. I'm going to change it as kmph because it's a speed. So for the speed unit, I'm keeping it as in KMPH unit. Text color we already selected as white, so we can keep it as white, or if you wanted to select it as red, you can still keep it. Maybe for a change, we can also keep some colors like lime, which will be um, a bit more professional, I would say. And then the arrow, appearance arrow section. So here this is like the arrow center color. It's already in black, so you don't see any difference there. Let me keep it as red. It's nothing but the center dot where the needle is attached in your speedometer. So this is the color of it. I keep it as red for the moment. And then the size of this radius. So maybe right now it is 5. Let me increase it to 7 maybe. And then we'll see, you see, the circle size is getting increased. Let me keep it as 10. Okay. Then the arrow color, it is already selected as black, and even since the background color is also black, so you don't see anything. Maybe for the moment I'll just change it to red maybe. You see, now you have the arrow, and arrow color is red, and arrow position is 0. So if you wanted to start from this is nothing but the arrow position starts from the value 0. If you keep it as 10, it starts from the value 10, and 20 means from the 20. But of course in the speedometer we're going to start from the value 0, so I keep it as 0. Arrow width, again based on the appearance we can change this width of the arrow. So in this case, let's increase a little bit more here. I keep it as 5. Okay, this looks okay for me for the moment. Maybe in this case we can also increase the font size a bit. um, Please select S9. Okay, fine. So the arrow width, we have modified it. Now we will see the appearance frame section where you have a display frame. Of course, we are going to display the frame. This is the overall frame. And then display margin. Okay, there is a margin here. If you set it as false, it will not show any margin at all. And what is the margin color? It is now black, so you don't find any difference. If I set it as red, then you will find a margin here in the panel. So that is the purpose for it. Okay, then the appearance of the ticks. Ticks is nothing but uh, the color of the okay, right now you're not able to see it. Maybe like I'll change the tick color to red. You see, now these are all the ticks, I would say. Like they have a main ticks and they have a sub ticks. The bigger line you see in the in the diameter of this speedometer, it's the main tick, and the sub lines are called as a sub ticks here. um, Based on the display, if you wanted to display only the main ticks, you can keep it as true and you can disable the sub ticks. But if you prefer to have it both together, then keep it as true for both. And main tick's length, you can also increase the length of this main tick and sub tick, and also the number of ticks inside each. So here it is like 10 tick numbers we have, and the length of 15 here. That's how it is now configured. Then we go to the general section. So this is like an analog gauge. It's a name from the toolbox itself. If you wanted to change specifically for your needs, you can change it. For instance, you can also change it as a speedometer. In our case, we tend to change it as a speedometer, so that this particular control name can be accessed in your CAPL code also, in order to set some of the parameters. So for that purpose, we can have use this control name. Of course, it's going to be visible in the runtime. And the layout, we have the location X and Y. It denotes about where we are going to keep the panel, or if I change it, you see the X and Y coordinates are getting changed. If I'm going to keep it at the top left, then you see the value is -2, and you can also manually do it as 0, 0, 0, based on your own needs to organize. And then the size of the panel, for instance, if you wanted to change the width, you can change it over here, or you can also change it by dragging on the mouse. Also, you can change it. If you see, I changed the width, it got changed. If you want to change the height, you do the change here. If you want to proportionally change, you can make use of this the corner point, by which you can proportionally change your height and width. Okay, so that's how you could play around with this dial. Okay, now, okay, so we'll go to the next section on the settings for range. Now we are working about this range. Um, the display parameter is nothing but the vehicle speed itself. Of course, it has a range from 0 to 350 here in this case. Um, so if you wanted to display in a different color for specific range, then you can utilize these options. Display lower range as true, and mean range as true, and upper range as true. It means that we are going to enable all three ranges to be visible to us. And the lower range color, you can set it as green. For instance, it denotes like a what I would say, it's like a eco mode where it's economical, where we put it always as a green color. And the mean range, we can set it as yellow, and the upper range color, we can set it as red, and the upper range limit is 350. Yeah, we know this, but the low range limit is something that we could set it here. For instance, 70, if I'm going to put, so until 70, it's going to display it as green, and you see, from there on it is yellow. But for instance, I wanted to select the range between 70 to 120 as 120 in the yellow color. Then I display, and beyond that, all the speeds I'm going to keep it as red. It's maybe a high speed alert, I would say. In that way, you can configure this, and the symbol maximum and minimum value, you can set it based on the need, and so this value will appear over here. For instance, if I'm going to change the value as 240 or 50, for instance, then the entire dial maximum and min range will vary, and accordingly your range will also get changed. Okay, so now all of our settings concerning to this to the speedometer is almost all set. What I'm going to, I also had linked a signal for it to display the vehicle speed, and I just have two more buttons or signals or text values or text boxes here to change, to give a value of the speed, and then how it changes and how it is getting displayed over here. I saved I saved the panel changes, and once if you have saved it, go to your configuration, and in the panel I have already added it. But if you wanted to add it freshly, go and click onto the add panel, and then select your panel which you have done. For in our cases, it's front underscore GUI. I select this panel, so you see it's appearing as a panel, finished panel. This is how during the runtime it will be visible to us. Okay, let me run this configuration and show you how it will work. Okay, so now I ran this GUI, and right now the speed is already preset as 30. And if I wanted to, for instance, we're going to increase the speed. My new speed is something like 100, and after I set it as 100, then my vehicle speed, it's going to go to 100, and then it's going to stay in 100. So that's the vehicle speed is going to stop there at the maximum limit. I just added a small timer function in order to show you visually how it changes and how the dial will work and so on. So that's the purpose why I used two text boxes, and then a small piece of a CAPL code to show you visually how this analog GUI or analog gauge can be customized as a speedometer, and how we can utilize it in our panel. So that is the purpose of the analog gauge. Topic 4: how to work with command buttons. Button. Button is a control with which assigned actions can be triggered. So here we can try to relate this button as a push or release button, where if you try to resemble this with your real vehicle, for example, you have a master actuator, master lock. If you press that, all the doors will get locked. So that's how this button can be used in your application. So let us see in detail about how to work with this button option. So go to your toolbox, select the button or double click the button. So you will see a button in your panel. Now we are going to configure this button, and then we are going to see how to work with this button options. So firstly, we will see the properties about this button. As I said earlier, when you click onto the button and then go to the properties, you will see all the properties or customization options concerning to that particular button that you have selected. So here you have the option of changing the background color, of the button. So right now it is white. You can select to whatever color that you wanted to have it. For example, I'm selecting it as red, but it is not appearing as red over here. This is because the use window style option is set as true. If you disable this option, you will see the button color as you selected as a background color. So that's how you can make use of this background color. Okay. The next option is the flat style. Flat style can be a standard one, or it can be a pop-up or standard or system. So you have a different options here available. So here the standard option is being selected, and fonts, as you see, you can select the font style as well as the size of the font. For example, if I want to change anything, I can click onto this browse button. I will be navigated to the font, and where I can select what is the font size which I decide to have. I selected it as 10, and I click it as OK. Now my font size is now 10. It is not only that you have to work with the solid image as a background for the button, but if you have some creative panels where you wanted to have your GUI look pleasing, then you can also map an image on the button. How you can do it? Go to the image option, and then go to the browse option, and then select. I already have a button image here as a sample. So select over here, and then you will see the button. So this is how the button would look like when you wanted to select. Okay. If you select the image, then it will show it to you in this way. Uh, the moment at which when you selected the image, you will not see many of the options here, because most of the options are to do with the solid colors. And of course, if you wanted to remove your image, then again you need to delete it. There is no option to remove it by clicking on, and then you don't find it anywhere around here. All you have to do is you need to delete the path. So delete this path and click enter, then it will go back to your um, actual background color which you have chosen already here. Then the image align, I put it as middle center, and then the text, it's a button. So if you wanted to select it as a different name, then you can select. I put it as a master actuator, and the name of the button, it becomes as a master actuator. Then test alignment, I set it as a middle center. Based on your need, text color, it's mentioned as black over here. Maybe we can also give a different combinations here. For example, the color can be set as black, and my text color can be set as a line, which I would always look like pleasing way of displaying things. It's a striking feature if you have this kind of a color contrast. And then transparent color, I put it as blue. So as per your need, you can select the color. Uh, and then if you want to use a transparent color, you can select it as true or false. Then use Windows style, it's set as false here. If you set it as true here, you see the color which you have chosen at the top, the background color will not be taken into consideration because it uses the Windows style. For the moment, I set it as false to have it quite visually seen. And we have some general options like control name, it's set as button. This is quite important. So here also you keep the same name, what I have given at the top, the master actuator. Okay, this is a name what you will be calling from your CAPL function as well. So please make sure that this name is properly given and then used in the CAPL programming. And then of course invisible at the runtime. And then the tab index, I keep it as 0. And of course the layout, you already know that if you change the layout based on your need, you can manually drag and drop, and at the same time you can change everything as per your need. Okay. And if you wanted to do it in a specific manner, in an organized way, just go with some sort of for example 250, and my y should be 100. If you want to go in that way, then you can go with that way. For instance, this could be 200 in the width, and my height of the I think is 100. then you see the size, the button uh, ratio, aspect ratios controlled through this size. And then of course here comes the main picture, the settings. How are you going to use this particular button option? It's when you press this button, what what value it has to send. When you release it, what value it has to send. So that you can configure over here. By default, when you press it, the value should be 1, and when you released, the value should go as 0. This is what it's by default it's configured in the toolbox when you select the button option. But if this is configurable, you can change it into any other value as per your desired need. For instance, this when you press it, it can send a value of 10. When you release it, it can send a value of 5 also. It's possible. So let us first see about how it works with 1 and 0, and then we will see in detail about how to configure these values based on our use cases. So here you have the option to map your signal or variable which you wanted to configure. So the symbol filter, which allows you to select between what particular, are you going to work this button with the signal or with the environmental variable or system variable or survey signal. For the moment, I'm going to work with the environmental variable, which I already configured for this video, but you can use a system variable also, or even directly the signal also. It's possible. I The moment at which I selected the symbol filter, it applies a filter, and then when I browse in the symbol, it will list down only the environmental variables. Okay, it's not going to show any of the system variable, or it's not going to show any of these signals here, signal database. No, it's going to show only the environmental variable as a filter, because we applied the symbol filter as environment. Now here I'm going to search I configured a small a button value as a sample value for this particular video purpose, to show you how it will work. So select the button value and apply it, and click OK. Now we configured this button with the environmental variable. So, and you can work with this environmental variable. So when you press this button, the button value will be sent as 1, and when it is released, the value will be 0. So that is the purpose how it will work. Let us see. We configured everything, and now we will see by running a configuration. And here I already configured in the graphics to show you like how it will look like when you select the when you press the button. Okay, let me run the configuration. Now the configuration is running. So I'm going to go to the panel here. I'm going to press the master actuator. When I select, you see, the moment when I press it, it goes to 1, and then the moment at which I released, it goes to 0. Again, I'm pressing it, and then it comes back to 0. How long you press it, it will stay in 1, and the moment when you release it, it goes back to 0. That's how we can work with this particular button. As I said already, it's not only limited to the value as 1 or 0. You can also go and change your pressed and released button values also. For instance, when you press it, it has to go to the value of 10, and when you release it, it has to go with the value of 5. Now let me save it, and let me run the configuration. Okay, I go to the panel. I'm going to press it. That's way high compared to that of the scaling of this graphics. So I'm going to change the scaling. What I have to do is, I know the maximum value I've used is 10, so I keep it as 10, or in fact I'll keep it as 20 to show you the upper range clearly, and then the lower range, I'm going to keep it as 0. Okay, let me now press it and release. You see, when I press, it goes to the value of 10, and when I release it, it comes to the value of 5. Again, I'm pressing it for a long time now, and I'm going to release it. See, this is how you can work with the button. The use case would be, you can try to relate. This will be a basic usage, like you can use this button as an input to your use cases, which will trigger some of the actions. For that purpose, you can use this button. Yeah. Topic 5: How to work with progress bar. Progress bar. Progress bar, as the name indicates, it's a progressive bar where you will see the progression of your output signal in the form of a bar representation. We would have seen it in the analog gauge in the past clip, or in the same video at the earlier stage, where you will have a different form of a representation. Again, it's also applied for the range based output signal, and here also this progression bar can be used for your range based output signal. So here the representation alone has a difference. It will be displayed in the form of a bar. So that is the only difference that we could see concerning to the analog gauge compared to that of the progress bar. The use case that you could apply is for the output signals. I would say like a vehicle speed, or an engine speed, or the acceleration, pedal press, and so on. So wherever you see it as a kind of a percentage, you can still relate all those kind of signals into this progressive bar to look and see like, okay, maybe I reached into the safer range, or am I overshooting to the higher range, which is dangerous. So in that way of representation, for which you can use this progress bar. First of all, what you have to do is go to the toolbox and select the progress bar. Either you click on it and then click in the panel, or you double click it, it will appear over here. Okay, now I'm going to place the progress bar, and especially in this video I'm going to try to relate and show the difference between the analog gauge as well as the progress bar. So I'm going to relate the same signal with two different representation. So here I'm going to link the vehicle speed signal. So for that, again, click onto this progress bar and go to the properties, and then try to link the signal which you wanted to link. So I'm going to link the vehicle speed signal, and soon when I linked it, I get the properties of the vehicle speed. So the max value itself is 655, but I wanted to show the representation in the form of 250, because the gauge, the maximum limit that we have set is 250. I'm going to try to relate the same here as well. So maximum value is going to be 250. Okay, I configured now the progress bar with a minimum value of 0 and to the maximum value of 250. The moment I reached to 240, it means that it's the progressive bar would look like 90% has been achieved. So that's how the representation would look like. Now we will go and look into the configurations in detail. As we have seen it in the past, we have the appearance group, where you can try to customize your appearance of this progress bar. So you can select the background color, and the display value, and then the font you can select based on your need, and the text color can be select based on your need, and so on. And in the appearance bar, again, you have the options enabled for certain style of progress bar. For instance, we have selected the style as Windows style, and so all these options are disabled, because these options are specific for certain style of the progress bar. For the Windows style, it's by default that it's going to have this format. The option that you could customize is the orientation, whether you wanted to go with the vertical or horizontal. In this case, it is horizontal. If you wanted to have a progress bar in the form of a vertical, you can use it in this way. Okay, now I'm going to select it as horizontal, and the next group is the general, where you will see the control name. Again, you can select whatever the specific name that you're planning to give for this progress bar. For me, I'm going to keep it as a speedometer 1. Since I have already given a name for speedometer in the analog gauge, I'm giving it as a speedometer -1 to differentiate between the two different representation. And layout, of course, you can modify the location and size of this progressive bar, either from this tab, or you can manually modify it in the panel itself. And then you have another group called the level meter settings. So level meter settings, right now it is disabled, because I selected the style of this progress bar as Windows style. But if I wanted to select a different style, for instance, we have a specific style called level meter style. If you select that level meter style, it allows you to enable all these other options, like alarm limit display. So you can enable it as true, and so all these options will be come into place. And also you have furthermore options like alarm limit line color, alarm upper limit, upper limit color, line width, maximum hold time, and the maximum line color. So detail of this level meter setting, we will see it later. For the moment, let me just go with the style of Windows to see how this progress bar works first of all. So I selected that, and now in the settings, we have the bar align. Am I going to select left to the right or right to the left? Here you see it as left top. It means that when you select the horizontal progress bar type, then you have to take the left as an option. But if you are going to take it as a vertical style progress bar, then in that case you have to go with the top as a selected, whether it's going to be top to bottom or bottom to top. So I'm going to select a progress bar where my progression has to start from the left and it has to end at the right. So that is my need. So I'm going to select it as left top. And then the decimal values, I keep it as it is, as 2, and origin value as 0. Okay, fine, good. Now I know I set the maximum value as 250. It means the 250 value is at the right extreme, and 0 is the min value. Okay, and this is the symbol which we have linked. Now I'm going to save it. I'm going to show you like how this progression is going to happen in the form of the progress bar. And parallelly, we'll also encounter and see how the analog gauge progress and how this progress bar progresses from the left to right. Let's play or start the measurement. Okay, the measurement is now started, and I'm into the progress UI. Already the vehicle speed is at 30, and so you see the progression here. Now if I wanted to increase the percentage, the new speed, I wanted to set it as 100 for example, then in that case I see the uh, change happening in the analog gauge, and at the same time how you are able to see the progression from the left to the right in the progress bar. uh, you see you're able to relate these both, right? So that's the main intent. If I keep increasing it, for instance 250 is the maximum value, the half of the value is somewhere around 125 maybe. I keep it as 125, and if you see, the progress bar will stand exactly at the middle. Both in the analog gauge, you will see the point needle is pointing towards the center, and the progression bar, you will see it at the exact center. So that's how you can make use of this progress bar. And firstly, we have seen it on the Windows style. Now let me show you how to configure it for the different other styles of this progress bar. Okay, now we will select the progress bar again and go back to the property and select a different style. And we have a different style like classic style with frame. And again, this is going to play the same role like how we have done it. The only difference is that you will not see the 3D view like you see it in the Windows style. Now it's like a simple classic style where you have seen it in the Windows 10, Windows Vista, or in the Windows 98. So how whatever the classic version of the Windows, the progression bar, the similar way of appearance, we will see it in the classic style with frame. So with frame is something, but you will see the frame over here. But the moment when you say, you also have the option of without frame. So you can also select without the frame. You don't see any frame color over here. So that is the three different styles we have seen it. Otherwise, on the operational point of view, it's all remains the same. It's going to operate in the same way as we have seen it in the Windows style. Now the final one is on the level meter style. So level meter style, if we select it, we get this option to be enabled. So level meter settings specific for this particular style, and if you select it as true, okay, if you have selected as true, all the settings will be enabled, and where you can customize based on your need. For instance, you have an alarm line color. What I'm going to keep it as black, okay, and what is my upper limit? I keep it as 60. So now I'm going to change it as, for instance, 80. For instance, the moment at which the vehicle speed goes beyond 80, then I'm going to change the color. So when I select it as 80, my line color is black, and upper alarm upper limit color, it's going to be red. Okay, so that's a difference. And the line width, I can change it based on my need. For instance, if I give it as 3, then you will see the line color will change. Now let me show you how it works. Here, let me save it. I'm going to run the configuration, and we are here. Okay, now I'm going to give the speed as 120. Now here your level meter is keeps increasing. The moment at which it goes past 80, you see the line becomes red. So it's a different way of representation based on your use cases, and you can represent it in a very graphical way. If you wanted to have a pleasing GUI which gives the exact indication of the levels, for that purpose you can use this level meter style. Um, that's it on the progress bar. I think we've touched all the properties of the progress bar. Yes. Topic 6, how to add start and stop measurement to the panel. And finally, we are coming to the command for start and stop measurement. Okay, the purpose of this start and stop measurement, it plays the same role how you try to start or stop the measurement in your CANoe at here. So the option has been given in the panel. So you can also you make use of the start and stop button in order to start your measurement and stop your measurement. You don't need to go into the open the CANoe configuration and then to click the start and stop measurement. So that's the purpose of the start and stop button. Again, you have to go to the toolbox, and you have the option of start stop control. Double click on it, you will get the start stop button. And here especially you don't have much to do or control, because the purpose is quite straightforward and simple. When you press the start, it's just going to start the measurement. When you're going to stop it, it's going to stop the measurement. That's what it's going to do it. So when you click on it, and then if you go to the properties, as I said earlier, there's no much option to configure. But again, if you wanted to do some sort of a styling in your appearance point of view, you can again select the 3D, for instance, for a better look. And then the control name, you can again, if you wanted to rename, you can rename it as instead of start and stop, you can give a different name, for instance. And of course, it is visible at runtime, and tab index is 5, and image size, if you wanted to change whether it's going to be in the middle or it's going to be small. Um, all these things is something that you could configure based on the size. But on the operation point of view, there is nothing much from our side in order to control it. All it is straightforward start and stop measurement. That is the purpose of this option. Let me save this panel, and then let me run. This time I'm not going to go and run the CANoe configuration in order to show you. I'm just going to directly go to the panel, and I'm going to click onto the start button. You see, the moment when I start the press the start button, the measurement already starts. I don't even need to go and open the CANoe configuration and give the start or stop. I can control the start and stop measurement from the panel itself directly, and I can just directly work with all my panel settings here. So that is the key. If you wanted to go for any sort of demo, then every now and then, if you go and open the CANoe configuration, it will not look so pleasing. If you wanted to give it as a neatly arranged demo, or in your own testing purpose, it's better that you try to pull in all the options into your panel, and then try to make your panel more interactive. So that's the purpose of this start and stop button. And I'm stopping it, so it stops the measurement. That's on the start and stop measurement. With that, we had come to a conclusion of part 1 video tutorial of Panel Designer. Hope you got a better insight on how to design the panels and work with the toolbox. Please stay tuned for the part 2 video for the next set of Panel Designer tools. Hope you like this video. Please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for notification on future series of videos. Thank you.